Welcome back, friends, wanderers, misfits, thinkers, and the handful of you who clicked on this episode by accident and are now wondering if you should stay. Well, you should. You should absolutely stay, because today we are cracking open a topic that has all the ingredients of a late night conspiracy theory forum post, a tech bro TED talk, and a dystopian prophecy whispered by some old man in a cave somewhere, all in one episode. You ever notice the phrase we used to throw around, seeing is believing? Cute, adorable, like rotary phones and Blockbuster cards, because now in 2026, seeing means almost nothing. Nothing. A video of your favorite politician could be AI. A motivational speech from The Rock, AI. Some tearful apology from an influencer who definitely did something horrible, AI. A Zoom call from your boss telling you you're fired. Could be one of your geeky bro friends pranking you for fun. Oh, and have you ever been scrolling mindlessly on YouTube and run across AI-generated rap music like Snoop Dogg rapping about hating pickles on his hamburgers or the like? I mean, scary, realistic stuff. Let's be honest, we have officially entered an age where a high school kid with a Chromebook and a bottle of Mountain Dew can create a video so realistic, you'd swear the Pope was telling you to invest in crypto. So today we ask a question that should terrify us just a little bit, but also makes for incredible podcast content. And here's a question. What happens when the internet stops being human? Allegedly, 15 to 20 years ago, we were told that internet would unite all of humanity, a shared space to bring all of us together. Yeah, brutal fail, right? But what happens when the world's largest library becomes the world's largest haunted house? And more importantly, what does that mean for you, for me, and for truth, for sanity, for intellectual freedom? Because if the internet is dead, or half dead, or I don't know, call it undead, or walking around like a zombie wearing a TikTok hoodie, then humans somehow, some way, have to rise again. So that's the stage. All right, you ready? Buckle up. This is the Intellectual Freedom Podcast, and today we dive into the dead internet theory. And yes, it's every bit as weird as it sounds. I'm your host, Dr. David Hopkins, humanities professor, podcaster, and your guide on this journey. Okay, I know, but last week I said we're moving on to the Republic. So I lied a little bit. I'm not ready just yet, not quite. But I promise I'm super close. It's just taking me a bit longer to get the kinks worked out on everything, and I'll talk a little bit about that today. But today's episode is not just a casual detour. It's kind of an on-ramp or a runway for what's to come. This is the beginning of something big, because we're doing something truly radical. A live, real-time, human, intellectual freedom podcast series streamed across multiple platforms simultaneously, not pre-recorded, not AI generated, not outsourced to some deepfake clone who looks suspiciously better than I do. I'm going to move real-time. I'm going to move to doing real-time video casts. So if you want to see the podcast, you can get them on YouTube. You can Substack, even Spotify. Is going to be home to the video podcasts. And more details will come out as this develops. But this is the next step in the Intellectual Freedom Podcast. You'll be getting me, the real me, unedited and uncut in real time as I record every one of these podcasts. I mean, in general, as you can probably tell, I don't edit this production. I don't want to edit this production. It is what it is as I talk. Um, but now you can see it come to life like a living, breathing human being as I'm sitting here recording these podcasts. And if you've been paying attention to the world lately, that's actually becoming more and more rare. And you might be asking, why does this matter? Why you do this? Well, I'm I'm going to do more of these video live-ish recordings because number one, and it's hard for me. I'm not a fan of seeing myself on video. I'm just not. And number two, at a time when everyone else seems to be building AI co-hosts, AI avatars, AI girlfriends, AI boyfriends, AI therapists, honestly, by 2030, we're all going to have some AI emotional support animal named Pixel or something like that, because something strange is really happening. Something I want to address before I kick this thing off in earnest. The internet, our beloved, infuriating, messy digital town square, is dying. And that's not hyperbole. In the minimum, it's being slowly replaced by shadow puppets. At an extreme, it's moving at an alarming rate. And here's the part that's going to make you laugh, cry, and question every comment you've ever read online. Some of those puppets are really, really convincing, like better skin, hair, nails, and intellect level convincing than almost anything you could imagine. So we're going to talk about that today, about AI videos that look so real you start doubting your own reflection, about bots that can argue philosophy better than Plato, and about a digital world that's filling up with ghosts extremely fast. This has huge implications, right? Because we haven't ever had a moment in time where you cannot believe anything. First, we couldn't believe the mainstream media, but we had the internet to give us options. And now it's starting to turn out that even that starting to turn into digital ghosts. But before we go that deep, let's break down what this whole dead internet theory thing actually is, and why big players like Sam Altman, Alexis Ohanian, and about half the internet suddenly woke up to, and they said, hey, let me summarize it in real easy language. Those in the know and even astute observers, very tech-minded, tech lingo, they said, oh, guys, something feels weird. Something is getting really off here. And they're right. And I'm about to tell you why. The dead internet theory, in real simple terms, basically says this, that large portions of the internet are no longer created, maintained, or even influenced by actual human beings. And before you say, well, that just sounds ridiculous, let me share a few facts with you. By many estimates, over 50% of all internet traffic is now bots. Legitimately, this is a real statistic, more than half or up to half, which means if the internet were a party, half the guests are Roombas wearing trench coats pretending to be accountants. AI and bots, everything from posts to comments to memes, and well, basically everything on the internet, you almost have a coin toss chance that it isn't real in the sense that it's created or posted by an actual human. Lots of funny, lots of outrage, lots of divide, lots of academic, not even human. Let that sink in for just 1 second. We see the examples of this everywhere. Entire websites today are built by AI. I'm not exaggerating. There are new sites online, news sites that publish hundreds of articles a day written by an algorithm and has the emotional range of wet cardboard. But honestly, I think as humans, we have a bit of a narcissistic streak that says, because I will hear people say, oh, well, that isn't very good. We're way better than machines. It's dead. The writings are dead. They have no emotion. They have no heart. But you know what? Some of them, better writers, better singers, better better image creators than humans, better marketeers. I mean, ouch, that stings. Stings me as a humanities professor. And so this hurt even scares me a little bit. Like, if machines are often more creative and say it better than we do, you and I, what do we have left? Sucks being outperformed by an algorithm. I often say I spent, 13 years in college to go from bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctorate degree, but every single book I ever labored over, well, I can learn those same books in minutes. Oh, and in addition to that, it could know every ancillary critique, study history around every book I ever read and regurgitated almost all of it better than I can. Geez, that sucks. It really sucks. But it's not just words, it's images, it's videos, it's every angle of the creative endeavor. AI video generation is now so realistic that if someone sent you a clip of yourself confessing to steal a llama from a petting zoo, you might actually call a lawyer. But here's the thing. AI doesn't just make videos anymore. AI makes videos that move with the right weight, blink with human rhythms, breathe with subtle chest motions, smile with micro muscle tensions. I saw one AI-generated spokesman earlier this week and thought, wow, that's a sophisticated, intelligent young person out there grinding, before realizing she didn't even exist. She was a cloud of pixels with better posture than I've ever had. We have AI influencers right now, AI brand ambassadors, AI motivational speakers who never had a bad day, a breakup, or a dentist appointment. Meanwhile, real humans are out here looking exhausted and wondering why their coffee tastes like disappointment. Because when the internet becomes a puppet show, the puppets start talking louder than the people. Let me give you just an example. Say you're online and you see a really heated debate, like people yelling, people name calling, people typing with a level of rage that only exists in people who haven't touched grass since 2011, sitting in somebody's basement as a keyboard warrior. There is a decent chance, a almost 50-50 chance in some circles, that they're not even people. They're bots designed to spark chaos, increase engagement, make you angry enough to stay online for 5 more minutes, keep scrolling so an algorithm can sell you a pair of socks. Now multiply that by 10 million and apply it to politics and entertainment, financial markets, sports, public opinion on anything. And suddenly you start to realize something. The internet might not be dead, but it's definitely haunted. Zombies, half dead. But man, if you ever watch any of the zombie movies, they sure can and will mess up your day and civilization in general. We hear it over and over and over again that the entire nation is just divided completely. We see evidence across every discussion forum, social media venue. And what if half of those aren't even real people? The internet has become haunted by AI, haunted by spam, haunted by influencers with faces so smooth they make porcelain look insecure. And here's the funny, terrible part. It just keeps getting better. We're about 5 minutes away from extremely sophisticated AI-generated personal trainers, spiritual gurus, relationship coaches, cooking instructors, heck, orthodontists giving advice on real teeth, and oh God, help us, AI soccer coaches yelling at your kid from a hologram iPad. The real question isn't, can AI fake a person? because that is already true. It's why is AI faking people so well? How did AI get so good so quickly at being quote unquote human, or at least mimicking what it's like to be human? And I think this is where it maybe gets a little technical, because large language models are predictors right now. And as it turns out, humans are pretty easy to fake. You have patterns. I have patterns. We all have patterns. We all have predictable speech. We all have predictable emotions. We all have predictable online behavior. Bots don't need to be geniuses. I know the call for large language models is AGI, artificial general intelligence, where an AI machine can think like a human. But they don't really have to be so effective. They are perceptive at a level we as humans simply cannot ever match. We don't have the patience. We don't have the time, and we definitely don't have the attention span. So these bots, these language models, they just need to be slightly less annoying than the average TikTok commenter to attract attention, keep attention, ultimately wield great power and influence. Because in a digital world where you can't trust your eyes, your ears, your feed, your recommendations, your DMs, or even those heartwarming videos your grandma sends you of a puppy rescuing a dolphin, where does this leave us? Where does this leave us in a world where we can't trust anything online? In a weird, beautiful, broken moment in history where the internet is starting to feel like a giant Chuck E. Cheese, lights flashing, animatronics singing, nobody entirely sure who built the place. And in moments like that, humans, real humans, suddenly become priceless. And we're going to talk about that next, because the more synthetic the world becomes, the more revolutionary it is to simply show up as a person. But first, let's look at why this whole mess is happening in the first place. Let's talk about something hilarious and horrifying. Kids are out here, they're building bot networks, real ones, full-blown digital mischief factories. And listen, I've been teaching for 25 years. I've seen every variety of adolescent, young adult chaos. I've had students hand me essays written in emojis. I've had students ask if Plato was that TikTok guy. I've had students write research papers entirely in lowercase because uppercase felt aggressive, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the day I learned that teenagers are running traffic bots, auto comment armies, and AI content farms in their spare time like it's a hobby. And we always ask, why would a kid do that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because the internet is basically Grand Theft Auto now, but with less parental supervision. Kids don't need motivation. They need opportunity, and the opportunity is everywhere. Want 1,000 fake followers? There's a bot for that. Want to look more influential? There's a bot for that. Want to win an argument online? There's a bot for that. Many bots, actually, and they never sleep. And the kids think this is normal. Of course they do. They grew up in a world where your refrigerator has opinions and your toothbrush is trying to sell you mouthwash subscriptions. But here's the kicker. There are legitimate uses for automation, like load testing your own website, scraping publicly available data, optimizing tedious workflows. But that is not what the average 15-year-old is doing. No, they're out here launching digital mayhem because it's Tuesday and the geometry homework is boring. Not all kids, today want to be influencers. Some just because want to build the fake followers that influence the influencers. It's meta. It's absurd. It's beautiful in kind of a chaotic way when you think about it. But what gets missed from people just playing around with this stuff is they lack the depth perception to realize that real harm, real danger comes from this in ways they never even stopped to think about. Because what the dead internet theory is really saying is we might be outnumbered, not by aliens or robots, but Chad, age 14, armed with Python scripts and a snack-sized bag of hot Cheetos. And honestly, that's almost the scariest part, because Chad is not evil. Chad is curious. Chad is bored. Chad's tinkering with the fabric of online reality like it's a Lego set. And God help us all with this. So that's the harmless side of bots. But we know for a fact foreign governments, ideologically driven political interests in America, NGOs, certain business interests or lobbying groups, heck, probably even our own media complex are involved, and they're not the young kids just playing around. Oh no, they know what they are doing. They know clearly, and they are sinister, evil, and in my book, despicable creatures. So let's zoom out. Beyond the bots, the kids, the AI influencers, with cheekbones sharp enough to cut drywall, something bigger is happening. And here's the fact that we're going to see get worse and worse over time, that trust is collapsing on the internet, just like trust has been collapsing across our traditional institutions that have been the pillars of Western society. And when trust collapses, society gets really weird. They get anxious. They get nervous. Think about it. You can't trust videos. They might be AI. You can't trust audio. It might be cloned. You can't trust comments. They might be bots. You can't trust reviews. They might be bots. You can't trust social engagement, bots, and two bored interns in the Philippines. We are entering a moment, and I say this lightly, because the real episode is coming later. But don't want to go deep. Feels a little bit like Plato's allegory of the cave inside the book, The Republic, just with better graphics and worse attention spans. I'm not going to take you deep into the cave today. I'm just going to sort of sit at the entrance and give you like a picture of what we're going to return to later. But here's the surface level. It's 2,000 years, more than 2,000 years ago. And in this story, Plato talks about a human who escapes from a cave. All the human beings are wrapped up inside of this cave, and people are mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. There's people behind kind of pulling triggers, puppeteers that are kind of mastering, and the only reality that these humans know is shadows on a screen of puppets. And they're not dumb. They can't see. And these people, it's not because they're evil, but because the shadows are all they've ever known. They don't know anything else. If that sounds familiar, today our shadows inside of this orchestrated world, this shadow world in a cave, is our internet. We have 4K resolution. We have perfect lighting. We optimize thumbnails, algorithmic distribution of content and material and things to buy, sponsored brand partnerships. But these are shadows of real people. And when the shadows start smiling and waving at you and offering discount codes, you begin to forget what real humanity and real humans even look like. But this is the vibe. If AI can generate shadows, what happens to the human being trying to search for truth? Because the real danger of the dead internet isn't that it's fake. The real danger is that it's convincingly faked, and the lines of humanity and AI become so blurred that it convinces enough people that the shadows feel real, that the shadows feel easier than the actual reality of lived human experience. And this is where the humor dies down. Because I want to say something real. A society that cannot trust what it sees or hears, it can't grow. It can't unite. It can't reason. And it can't remain free. If everything is suspicious, if everything is potentially synthetic, if every voice is potentially engineered, then the only anchor left is real human presence. Which leads us to this. And here's a twist nobody or few people saw coming or see coming. The more that AI takes over, the more valuable real humans become. This is the secret. This is the the reversal, kind of like a cosmic joke. In a world where everything is automated, everything is optimized, everything is hyper-produced, people will become starved for something messy, something unpredictable, something imperfect, something organically real, something that is actually alive. Because at the end of the day, what humans crave the most, and COVID kind of taught us this message, is real conversation, real laughter, real debate, real emotional risk, real vulnerability, and real presence. Not fake, polished, perfect BS. I'm talking about that messy middle of being a human being, the quirks, the mistakes, the actual aspects that all of us live humans, we go through. Because as it exists today, and probably into the near future, AI can simulate emotion incredibly well, but it doesn't feel it, like in your soul, feel it. AI can imitate thought, but it doesn't struggle with thought. It can generate words, but it can never mean them. And my friends, is why live events, video events, undoctored like this event, recorded video streams are going to come back in full force. COVID era online isolation is over. Hopefully we will never see that again. I think people are going to reject even more and more over-polished streams where everyone looks like a Marvel character rendered in Unreal Engine number 5. No, I'm talking about human live streams. I'm talking where hosts or conversations, every once in a while people lose their train of thought. It happens. A joke lands sideways or sounds stupid or silly. A philosophical riff takes a very weird turn that doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense. A human being coughs. Someone adjusts their mic and you hear that rattling sound, and a conversation that's breathing. Human stuff, humanity is going to be the new authenticity. What comes around goes around. Presence is going to be the new currency. Imperfection is going to be the new credibility. And this is why I believe incorporating more interactive media into the podcast is key. Yes, I know I'm a decade or so late to video. YouTube's been around a long, long time, but hey, better late than never for the Intellectual Freedom Podcast, right? With soon to come actual live events, seminar style content to go with the podcast, not just as content, not just as education, but as just doing something that is live and real. Of course, you'll still be able to listen to the podcast on your favorite platform, but I'm making it more of a live conversation, maybe throwing some Q&As when and where I can make it fit. I'm just going to roll with it. I don't ever really plan this out too far in advance. I get something that I feel is important and I roll with it. But because showing up as a human, I believe, is going to become more and more relevant as we march through the middle of the 2020s and into the 2030s. All right, that's it. We're landing this philosophical plane gently because the turbulence was pretty wild today, right? Let me leave you with this thought, though. We live in a world where AI can generate a human face that looks better, more human than your own. A world where children, teenagers are building digital armies in their bedrooms. A world where bots, they have the capacity to argue loudly, confidently, and endlessly. And yet, in the middle of all this noise, all this automation, all this synthetic content dressed up like the real thing, human beings still matter. Humans matter precisely because we are imperfect, because we forget our lines, we pause at the wrong times, we laugh at the wrong moments, we stumble into insight rather than manufacture it, because we get emotional, we change our minds, we reveal ourselves without meaning to, because we think painfully, slowly, confusedly, beautifully sometimes. AI can mimic it, but it cannot be it. AI can echo, but it can't choose. AI can predict, but it can't believe. You, on the other hand, you are a creature capable of truth. Truth the hard way, truth the long way, truth through thought, reflection, dialogue, disagreement, wonder. This is why the Intellectual Freedom Podcast exists. This is why we're going live. This is why we're doing Play-Doh. This is why we gather, not to scroll passively through shadows on a screen, but to remember we are the ones casting them. And so I leave you with this. Just stay curious. Stay awake. Stay human. And stay free. See you in the next episode.